All right, folks, welcome back to Lakers Latest. We're going to talk all things Lakers. I'm coming to you again from Studio City. It's about 80 and sunny. It started off a little cloudy again. It's been a little cloudy in LA the past few days. I thought we were past June gloom, but it's been pushing back to the sun after that. So, pretty good. Appreciate the days. We're ready to go. Let's get started. Let's start from the top. We got the Luka Doncic extension. So, there was a report today. I can't remember the reporter, but popped out. I think it was about a few hours ago that said, Lakers fans, don't worry. All plans are that Luka Doncic will sign that contract extension, long-term contract extension, the max. Obviously, he's going to lose a year that he would have been able to get in Dallas, but he will. The plan is he's going to sign to that max extension before the season starts, and they're going to have to get that done, obviously, before the season starts. So that's encouraging. I think that kind of was always the plan. I was never really worried about Luka not signing that extension, but at the same time, I think seeing the Ayton, the Larabia, now the Marcus Smart, and I think, like I said, we've talked about it before. We're still waiting for one more pin to drop. Rob Pelinka's not sitting around saying, we'll figure it out, Luka. Like, he understands that, like, this is LeBron's last year. He understands he needs to show Luka, like, we didn't just trade for you just so you could be this face for us and sell tickets. Like, we're trading for you because we want to try and win now. We want to try and do everything we can to convince you to stay. And again, was never truly worried about that. But it's good to see kind of put that any worries to rest of, oh, is he not going to sign the extension before this season starts, or is that something that we're going to have to worry about all season? Like, if someone gets hurt or someone plays bad, it's not done yet, but all signs, even before this report, are pointing towards Luka and the Lakers getting that extension done, and it will be a max extension. Should be for 4 years, I believe. That obviously will lock Luka up long term in Los Angeles, and then from there they can, Rob can really start to focus on, all right, how do I want to surround this team with Luka? Obviously, we have LeBron on the team now, but very well could possibly be his final year. As great as he is, you're going to lose someone in LeBron who's retiring that you're not going to replace, or you're not going to trade or get anything back and replace for him. So you're going to have to keep building through free agency. You're going to have to keep building through the draft, and getting this extension done before the season allows you to just focus on all the playing time during the season, any players you need to additionally add, but it just puts all that worries in the rearview mirror, and you can just focus on everything you need to do this season. So it's very good news that we want to see. I expect that to happen. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but I think sometime before training camp that will be done. Most likely we're probably waiting on whatever that next move is. I know we talked about Wiggins yesterday. I think that's the most likely move for them, but whatever that next move is, I think you'll see that happen, whoever that may be, and then Rob that'll probably be the final big move of the offseason. Then Rob can really kind of focus on that Luka contract and what's going to happen after that. So, yeah, great news. Next we got next step. What players on this roster are ready to take the next step? I'm looking up and down this roster. Obviously, you got guys who you have your superstars, LeBron James, Luka Doncic. You have Ayton, who can be a frustrating player, but has solidified his place in the NBA. We obviously know he's a very talented player. You got Rui, Reeves, Kleba, Jared Vanderbilt, Connect. We talked about Connect yesterday. I'm not even sure he's going to be on this team come the time the season starts. I'm still a big believer in him, but obviously the league-wide view on him is down now. So I don't think he's going to be that guy that takes the next step, and again, this is all assuming that he's going to still be on the Lakers when the regular season begins, which is very up in the air. But naturally, you would think that first-round pick that showed the promise that he had in his rookie year, he would be that guy to take the next step. But I just don't see it, not because I don't believe in him. I do. I've loved Dalton Connect since Tennessee. I've loved him in the draft last year. But I think, obviously, especially adding a guy like Marcus Smart, adding more pieces to the puzzle, his rotation minutes were already muddy last year. Obviously, he wasn't in the rotation for a good amount of that series versus the Timberwolves. So I don't know if he's going to be a guy that takes the next step, assuming he's here. I don't know if he's going to get those minutes. So to me, there's two guys that stand out to me as far as taking the next step in their game, and that would be Rui and one of the new additions, Jake Larabia. So Rui's always been a really talented player. I think when he was in Washington, I mean, it's almost impossible for anyone to succeed in Washington. That is just like a cesspit, a black hole in the NBA. No one wants to go there at this point. It's going to be incredibly difficult for anyone to have success there. So but still, he was pretty solid. Still, a couple years Lakers trade for him, and I feel like Rui's been pretty solid these past 2.5 years. He's been a good addition. Last year, there's 13.1 points, 5 rebounds, 51% from the field, 41% from three. We're seeing kind of that gradual improvement in him, but I think especially this year, and again, we'll see if he, again, similar to Connect, we'll see if he's actually on the team come when the regular season starts, because if they are going to trade for Wiggins or someone else, Drew Holiday, his contract very well could be the one that gets attached to it to trade him, which would be understandable, but we're going to base this off the premise that he will be here when the regular season begins. And you look at a guy like Rui, this has been a very talented offensive player his whole career, even especially dating back to Gonzaga. He averaged 6, 7 free throws a game in a Gonzaga. He's never really averaged more than 2 for the Lakers. So I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. But I think you kind of saw a little bit in the last 2 games versus the Timberwolves. He had game 4, did 23 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Game 5, he had 23 points, 9 of 16 again, 5 of 10 from 3. Like, he's capable of doing that. And I think especially this year, you're going to need to see that load lessened a little bit with LeBron. So I think Rui's definitely a guy. And Laravia has always been a really talented shooter. He's got good size. He's a talented offensive player, but he's kind of that secondary player, even tertiary, right? He's not going to be a secondary scorer, but he can be a good role player, a guy that comes off screens, hits threes, does all this. And I think that's a perfect fit on this team. He's probably going to have the most open threes that he's ever had in his career this year, if the Lakers can put him in the right situations. And I think JJ Redick, especially, obviously a great shooter, a guy that really understands how imperative shooting is in today's NBA. I think he's going to really try and get Laravia in a bunch of different options, a bunch of different spots, a bunch of different lineups to really amplify that shooting and allow him to come into his own. Last year's 47% from the field, 42% from three. This guy's a very good shooter, and he's a guy that I do think can take that next step in his game. I know he had about 10 points a game a few years ago for the Grizzlies, but it wasn't really efficient. So those are definitely the 2 guys that I would say focus on to take the next step. So next, let's talk about Deandre Ayton. Obviously, this is one of the bigger additions to the Lakers roster, and I think he's a guy that obviously there's an up and down opinion of him throughout the NBA. He's always been a talented offensive player. No one's ever doubted that. But there's been questions about his attitude. There's been questions about his effort. And those are kind of evident. You saw it in Phoenix. You've heard some of it in Portland as well. That's why one of the reasons they wanted to get rid of him. But you also heard some good stories where, he would take the Portland bigs under his wing. Donovan Clingan, he became good friends with Robin Williams, Bob Williams, and so there's stories of him doing these things. So there is also positives in him, but I think over the past few years, obviously the league soured on him a little bit. This is a guy that was the number 1 draft pick coming in, infamously in the Luka Doncic draft. Obviously, he's no Luka. It's funny that they're teammates now. But this is a guy that, you didn't really have anyone on the roster after AD left who had that kind of low post game. I mean, Rui could a little bit here and there, obviously LeBron, but not that big guy. You can just give it to him down low and do the thing. And Ayton can do that. He's a really talented offensive player. He can score, he can rebound, he's an underrated passer. I do think he can fit in this offense pretty well. The problem with him, and the problem which has always been his problem, is defense. He's not a good defender, and I think the biggest issue with him is effort. If you can get that effort from him, I think he can be at least somewhat close to average of an NBA defender, which is probably the best you're going to get out of him. But the biggest thing with him is motivation. And you would hope, coming to the Lakers, being back in a competitive situation after being stuck in Portland for 2 years, playing with LeBron, playing with Luka, being coached, but you would hope that this remotivates him and brings back that fire that you had in him. You saw early in his early years in Phoenix. You saw it in Arizona, the reason he was the number 1 draft pick. He has so many things that can really help a team, but Is he motivated? Is he going to put in that effort? Those are the most important things regarding DeAndre Ayton. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be talented offensively and he's going to impact the team offensively. The question is, how much of a detriment is he going to be defensively? Is his offensive ability going to be able to overtake that? Are we going to see effort from him? If we do, if we see consistent effort, if he's motivated on defense and he can just be close to average, I'm not even asking him to be good, just be average or close to it. I think he can be a really, really valuable piece of this team. But like I said, it's going to come all down to that motivation and effort with him. You hope, given that this is the best scenario he's been in since Phoenix, probably for now 3 NBA seasons after being stuck in the doldrums of Portland for 2, you hope that he's going to be ready to go. So I think we're going to see a different Ayton. I'm not going to 100% say he's going to be good defense or he's going to be average. That I don't know till I see him. But I think that he's going to be more motivated than he's ever been to be good this year, and especially to help a team trying to contend for a championship. So let's get to our final topic of the day, Lakers versus Clippers. No one likes the Clippers. Bunch of bums. But these are 2 very good teams in the West. I kind of touched on yesterday. I think that the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Nuggets are kind of pretty clear-cut top 3 right now. I think if the Lakers make that trade, they can come close to it or be right at 4 on the verge of breaking in. But we're waiting for that one more big trade. But, after those 3 teams, then you have the Warriors, Clippers, Lakers. But the Clippers and Lakers are kind of both right there. I mean, they both, obviously, we know the Clippers added a lot this offseason. I mean, Brook Lopez, John Collins, a 700-year-old Chris Paul, 600-year-old Bradley Beal. No, I'm kidding. But, obviously, they're not the players they used to be. Chris Paul's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bradley Beal, probably not a Hall of Famer, but in his prime, an elite scorer. And obviously, looking at the rosters right now, Lakers got LeBron, Luka, Ayton, Marcus Smart, Rui, Austin Reeves, Vincent, Kleba, Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, Larabia, Hayes. Those are kind of your core rotation guys. Obviously, not all of them are going to play. And then you take a look at the Clippers. You got Beal, Kawhi, James Harden, John Collins, Brook Lopez, Zubats, Chris Paul, Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Nick Batum. They're deep. They're very, very deep. But the difference is that a lot of the guys on the Clippers are older, and are injury prone. Kawhi's unbelievable in the 7 games a year he plays. You know what I mean? He's great, but unless he's 100% healthy going into the playoffs, can you really trust him? On paper, the Clippers probably look better on paper, but they have so many guys that Beal gets hurt all the time. Chris Paul's 40. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Kawhi gets hurt every other game. They don't have the consistency that I would say necessarily the Lakers do. But you look at these rosters, I think Chris Paul, obviously, almost Laker legend. But obviously Chris Paul can still play. He's still a point general. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to be a solid backup point guard who probably can start at a pinch. Beal, it's going to be interesting to see his role. I'm going to presume that they're going to start him. I think that's what we're going to see. James Harden, you are never going to get me to believe in James Harden, ever. There's never been a point in his career where I've believed in his style of play that it's going to equate to a championship. With that being said, especially given the fact that he's kind of more a de facto point guard now, I do think that is a better chance for them to get to where they need to with him being point guard. But the team's very good. They're also very old and potentially injury prone. So if they stay healthy, I do think they have a chance to be right outside that top 3 too. But I don't know. I just don't see it. And now we go to the Lakers. I think you look at the Clippers. This is a team that they're done. They have their team. They've made their moves. We know what they're going to be. We know they have elite depth, really good starters, very good coach. They're a very good team. But the Lakers, and we talked about it, we're waiting on that next move. We're still waiting on that big move to really consolidate the team and be that final step that's going to elevate them to legitimate contention. As right now we said they're in that 4 to 6 range. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Lakers, to me, Luka, you still have Luka. You still have LeBron right there. I'm still taking both of those guys over James Harden. If healthy, I'm definitely probably taking Kawhi over LeBron. If healthy, again, that's a huge if. Luka probably still over Kawhi, but then you look at the Lakers, and this kind of goes back to the Marcus Smart edition. The Marcus Smart edition was huge because now you can put him on a bunch of different guys. You have that late, almost a late inning closer, lockdown, elite, Mariano Rivera type closer to put on someone. And that's something that they gravely missed. And that's something that I don't really see on this Clippers roster either. I mean, Chris Dunn's a great defender, but he's not a guy that's going to get the same amount of minutes Marcus Smart does. I think it's very close. I think they're almost dead even. I think, if anything, I would give the Lakers maybe the slight edge just because they have a little bit more youth, but it's so hard. I think you could easily give the Clippers a slight edge too. So we will hold. We'll wait until the Lakers offseason is fully finished because, like I said, we're still waiting for that next step, whatever that next move is. Clippers are done. So we'll reserve full judgment until we know the actual full clarity of each roster. But right now, I would almost say they're dead even, maybe the slightest edge to the Lakers. But if you want to say the Clippers, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. They're almost dead even. But let's see. We're still going to wait on that one more big Lakers move. Hopefully it comes in the coming weeks. And then we can really ascertain where each roster's at. But for now, that's all I got for you today, guys. Till next time.